my take on the Nobel Prize in Physics, John J. Hopfield, 2024, 1 out of 2. I'm filming this. I got this one pretty good today. They're being announced about 2:30 a.m. my time, and it's about 5:30 a.m. my time. So I'm a few hours late. However, that's pretty good for me. I'm Tanis C. Leonhardi, Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Norway and United States of America. And today is Tuesday, 8 October 2024. And I'm talking through the John J. Hopfield, he, him, his of United States of America, Nobel Prize in Physics, Year of Award 2024. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics, won half of the prize, 50%, for his work regarding artificial neural networks and machine learning. I provide my take/perspective on his award and contextualize it in terms of me growing up in the 1990s and 2000s playing computer games integrating human virtual characters. Yes. So this is like, this is one of those areas where like society is like 50 years behind science, and they're like, artificial intelligence is new, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna say anything. Right? Physicists get the reputation of being assholes for a reason, because they invented the technology, you know, decades earlier. So, or the base layer of the technology decades earlier. So there's a little bit of like, this year, 2024, some of the people are like starting to see the tail of it, and it's like rolling out socially. And last year, machine learning, or the year before, machine learning was a big deal. And like, those were actually some of the like, so when I was in graduate school, I did computational physics for one of my projects, high energy density physics. And in undergrad, my computational physics class, there was like, computational physics is a field of physics, right? And so this is that kind of physics. And it's a interesting, like, when I was in graduate school, so, and then I was working on that project 2015, 2016, like, machine learning was already on the way out. That's how old it was in science, right? And then, you know, and then fast forward a decade and society's like, oh my gosh, it's new. And it's kind of like, well, it was on the outs in science about a decade ago. So, like, there's the, like, when it rolls out society in terms of technology, it's already been around for a while. Right, kind of thing, the underlying science. So in that sense, that's kind of what these are about. This is the kind of stuff that doesn't bother me because I grew up immersed in my virtual reality computer games that had human characters and like humanoid like looks and stuff like that, and interacted with speech. That even if it was a scripted speech, right, it was very kind of basic, what a lot of things have built on today. So for me, this isn't a scary area, right? I actually did computational physics. I've published using computational physics methodology. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, and what was it? So essentially it's taking and making it so a machine can essentially, the brain, I'm not a neuroscientist, okay? The brain of a human is essentially like, they try and make that in a machine. And so it can think for itself, and machine learning is like, you can think of it as like, the machine is able to adapt and learn to what information it's received, then it can learn and adapt and grow. Okay. And everybody loves growth these days, so it shouldn't be a problem for those growth lovers. And the people are like, how are you safe? For over 3 years now, every day I've been here at home, multiple times a day, I've interacted with squirrels and birds, wildlife. The neural circuitry of these machines is inspired by, in this particular word, is inspired by humans. That's not all animals. I interact with animals that have a different neural circuitry, so to speak. So, if you wonder if I'm very different on this channel, I might be heavily influenced by different neural networks than what computers or machines are based on, and humans. So and then there's always for the giving this to machines and computers, there's always the female rage of women should be the only people capable of producing that because they make babies, and it's just kind of like, grow up. science has come far enough. Like, if you want to be part of the breakthrough, contribute, don't hate and tear everything down. And I am a she, her, hers. Okay. So growing up in the 1990s and 2000s, I found a prop. I decided to pull out one of my games. I played Nancy Drew computer games, which are a detective kind of game based on Nancy Drew. You know, what were they? They were like the 1960s, or something like that. Or then they still come out. I don't. Point being, so her Interactive decided to make it into computer games. So when I was and I started playing them pretty young. I did start playing computer games in the 1990s. This is an example of one. So I actually would wait for the release of these computer games and then get them when they come out. And so this is one I waited for the release of, is Nancy Drew, The Phantom of Venice. And it's a very, very fun one. I got to learn some basic Italiano, including, what was it, Topo. And it's about trying to catch this guy who's kind of known as the Phantom of Venice, and like in the city of Venice, but in computer game form. And I find, like, as somebody who's really into the environment, computer games are a great way to not actually cause environmental degradation, or some people aren't very friendly when they travel, and so there can be cultural damage, so to speak, heritage damage, if certain people travel. And so computer games are a great way to be like, I learned something and I solved my the case and stuff. But they have, and these ones, right, the computer, I give it input and then it outputs something. Alright, so I'm interacting with the computer. It's a bit different than like I used to do, like Math Munchers or whatever, Number Munchers or whatever it was. Alright, so this is a bit different in the sense of like they're actual human characters, right? Humans in virtual reality with scripts, and you can think of it as it learns, right? It doesn't know what to do until there's input given to progress the game. But this is one that I would say there's a fair amount of people who would classify this as virtual reality and being like semi-structurally similar to artificial networks and machine learning, if none other than understanding, like, if you want to understand like it is a computer, play this game, because the people you're interacting with are they're computer characters, virtual reality characters. So in the sense of like separating out human and like non-human in virtual interaction, this is a good way of doing that, whether or not that's how the games were made. Okay, this one was released in 2008. Yeah, but I actually have a number of these still. I love them so much. I love them so much. I had like sacred Saturdays, or if I didn't, before I started working, and then like when I had a job, if I had Saturdays off, I would do just like get special treats and then spend like 10 hours playing these computer games. And then if I had time during the week, I would play them as well. But yeah, I really adore. I even continued this into graduate school. So, not this one. I was one on an Iceland one. So, a much more cultural and environmentally friendly way of broaching different cultures in different places is computer games. There's the technology, and there's having to acquire those technology, but there's technology required to travel to the places as well. So, pointing out the materials needed for electronic devices is a bit inappropriate when technology is required to travel as well. Or it's not inappropriate, it's just being a hypocrite. So there we go. It has, for people like me, who grew up with some of the basic expansion of these scientific principles in physics, this is a cool prize. So that's my take on the Nobel Prize in Physics, John J. Hopfield, 2024, 1 out of 2.